I'm Dan Whittaker. I'm here today to analyse the golf swing of Open champion Rory McIlroy. Now, this footage was taken the week before the Open at the Scottish Open over in Aberdeen. Now what we see is during this first move away, we see that the club, the body, the arms and the club are all working away as a single unit. This is quite a difference to the swing that he was making last year when we saw him have all of his struggles. What we saw last year was that the club tended to get outside the line. So you see here how the club worked up faster in the air, and how the hosel and neck of the golf club are actually on the other side of the ball here, and how his arms are disconnecting away from his body a lot in this direction. This was taken at the start of 2013 at the WGC event. And what we tended to see then is as those arms separated away, his arms carried on and the swing got long. You see it's a lot longer at the top here. Now what we see with Rory is, as he gets to the top here now, it's a much shorter backswing. In fact, this is the shortest I've seen him take any of the long clubs back. Okay, it's a lot shorter than it was last year. The left arm is perfectly balanced and matching the shoulder plane at the top, which is absolutely ideal. Now what we see is as he starts down from here, the body starts down first, but because the elbow is in the correct location and his hips have turned back more in this direction than they had done last year, what we noticed is that there's more room for his arms to come down in this area in front of his body. So what we see now is as he starts down, those arms get in front of the body, so the right elbow's on the front part of the right hip, and from there it can stay all the way to impact. So we see at impact here how the right shoulder, the elbow and the hip have all come through at the same moment. There's not been any waiting about or any stalling. Now what we see last year is that because the club went outside the line, we see it created a definite drop, and it had like a bit of a loop look to the golf swing. So the arms got very stuck behind his body. We'll notice here how that right elbow is trapped behind his hip a lot more than it is this year. What we'll see now is from we'll bring it through to impact in last year's swing, we'll see that the arm is stuck, so we see a lot more chase away and firing of the arms to try and stall from the body as the arms work independent from the pivot to try and square the club face. What we see this year is how everything's so much more matched, and the body rotation is carrying the arms through the downswing, and the body is being squared up via the pivot, and it's able to do that because the right elbow can get to the front part of the right hip and it's not going to be stuck, so there's no stalling of the body and exploding upwards to allow those arms to catch back up with the body. Now we take a look at this front view driver swing. There's the only thing I'm not that keen on here is I don't like to see the left arm and the golf shaft creating a straight line here, because I think for a lot of amateurs this creates the effect that the club head is already further on in the backswing than the body. Okay, I like to see a golf shaft that's more balanced and straight up in this direction here. Now the problem would be is with some amateurs the club then will tend to work away and get a little bit more behind the hands. Rory does a pretty good job here in taking everything away together, but what we see is we see a very slight little bit of lateral shift during this first move. So we see the right hip moves against the N of the Aberdeen behind him, and we'll now see as he gets to the top the hips now begin to turn. So he's got a lot more hip turn in the backswing than he ever used to have. We can see here how much shorter it is, actually shorter parallel. First time I've seen Rory doing this has been this year. I think it's a much better position for him. Now because of the slight bit of shift in the backswing, he has to work laterally in the downswing, so sometimes his weight tends to try to work towards the the left big toe diagonally. If this happens, it causes the arms to get stuck behind the body. So as he makes the move down now, we see the arms don't get too stuck, but we do actually notice that his left foot does slip across the floor just a little bit as he's making his lateral move. I believe this creates a little bit of a timing deficiency occasionally for him. Obviously it didn't do this week, but I feel that if he just let that right hip just turn back from the start like he does with the irons, this little compensatory move in the golf swing there could be gone. We see an unbelievable amount of lag coming in here, but one thing that he's doing a great job of now is you see the left shoulder clears immediately from the chin. So we'll see there is a gap here, so the left shoulder works away in this direction. So we'll see the left shoulder moves away now, creates the room for the arms in front of the body, and at impact he actually still strikes this with some shaft lean. And it's only after impact that the left arm and the golf shaft get fully in line with one another. So this is an important fact for a lot of people to notice, is that there is still a little bit of shaft lean there. We then notice that from here he just rotates everything around. There's been no stalling out or backing out. Okay, so we can see here how the hips don't have that old stall move and kind of back out move that they used to have. Instead everything is working through together as a singular unit. I mentioned a minute ago about the left shoulder separation. Now what we see here is we'll see a great one-piece move away here. Body turn definitely initiates this first for Rory. Okay, and we'll see there's a little bit more right hip turn here than there was earlier on in the backswing than there was with the wood. But here from this view we'll see how the left shoulder and the chin separate from one another very quickly here in the transition. You see how Rory's shoulders cleared away. Now this is what this has done, is it's brought the right elbow to the front part of the right hip, and it's given him loads of room through here to allow him to let the club and the arms and the body freewheel the club through impact uninhibited. So the body turn rotates through the ball, the arms work with the body because there's loads of room, and he's able to just clear all the way around with all of his weight finishing balanced into his left heel. One thing we see here with this front view swing is we see here this right hip just turns back a little bit earlier on in the backswing in this direction. So we see now how that hip starts to turn a bit earlier. The camera's moving about a bit, but we can see how there's slightly more depth to the hip turn with the iron. I think part of this is just associated to the fact that the stance is narrower here, but this is such a balanced backswing. You see the shoulder turns way beyond 90, but the golf club barely got to 3/4. Here we have a look at the shoulder rotation here. You know, we're probably talking nearly 110 degrees of shoulder rotation there, but with a very short arm swing. That shows that the body is in charge of this backswing in terms of the coiling, and the arms aren't running on the tools. This is very, very synced, meaning that as he comes down, he just has to let the body do all of it, all of the work, get the correct sequencing from the ground up, but from there everything can work through together. There's no stalling, there's no backing out, there's no slowing down of the body. There's just an unwinding and a move up towards the target and around as the arms and the club follow the pivoting action of the body. We'll have a look at this driver swing right here, and the camera's kind of looking a little bit down his heel line here. Now if we have a look here, the only bit that I would like to see him get a little bit better with the driver is you just see this little gap here. The arms just slightly separate away there. There's a little bit of the old move still in there, but that's obviously a little bit of time still working at this new move that it looks like he's been doing, and I think that will just be gone. I think if he turns his right hip a little bit earlier like he did with the iron, the hands will have some room to move back in this direction. But what we do notice is at the top of the backswing, we notice that this swing is much shorter. It's the shortest I've ever seen him take the driver back. And we see how the golf club face and the left arm perfectly match one another, so he's absolutely banging plane and everything is online. Now if we have a look at his golf swing from 2009 at the Masters, what we will see is a much longer backswing. Here's the position that's the same as the current one, and we'll see how this club went way beyond parallel with much less hip turn here. We have a look at the hip turn there. See, it's much deeper, the hip turn, this year in 2014. Now what we'll also see is how the hips start down, and at this point now in the downswing, we'll see how different the right elbow position is. So there's more space in here with his arms in front of his body, but you'll also see here how the right elbow is further back in this direction. We'll notice how the elbow is further forwards and closer to the front part of his right hip. So what we'll notice now is because of this, he can unwind and that whole right side comes through in sync. What we'll notice now is watch how his legs straighten a lot more in 2009, as he's having to back up underneath himself in this direction to make some room for his arms to get back out in front of him. He creates no space on this particular shot, and we'll see that the ball was blocked straight right over here. What we'll notice on this one now is everything's come through together, and obviously the ball is just going straight down the target line. But there's been no compensations needed here. So I think this swing's evolved fabulously over the last few years for Rory. I think that it's obviously kept all the dynamics and all the explosiveness he had back then, but with a golf swing that's now matching his rotation better, rather than there being the need for any stalling or slowing down of the body to allow those arms and the club to catch back up with him. I think it's a huge improvement. Obviously we saw here this kind of stall and bit of sling. What we'll see now is from the shorter position, arms get in front, whole right side comes through uninhibited with no stalling out whatsoever. I believe that this golf swing's improved a lot. It all goes in line with what we've seen this year, and I think he's number 3 on tour in total driving, so that goes along with this move that we're seeing, because it's shorter, more synced, everything's more matched through the golf ball. It's just a miles better move. I do hope you've enjoyed this analysis from me. If you'd like to see more from myself, please visit my website, which is danwhitakergolf.com, or follow me on Twitter at @dwhitakergolf, or my Facebook page, which is Dan Whittaker Golf. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.